Rusame reader, Rusame, and today I will be reading to you from Desert Road by Doomsday Phoenix. Now, on to Chapter 5. America awoke to the early morning sunlight streaming through the blinds. Sitting up, he stretched and yawned, blinking the sleep from his eyes. Glancing at the clock, he breathed a sigh of relief. 8:04 a.m. It wasn't too late. "I see you're finally up," America heard Russia say from the kitchen. He hadn't noticed him until now. Smiling, he swung his legs off the bed and stood up, walking over to see what his friend was doing. That's when the rejuvenating scent of coffee hit him. "I brewed us some coffee for the day. We're gonna need it," the larger country said as he moved the pot into 2 mugs set on the counter. America grabbed the handle, careful not to burn himself. "Thanks, Russ." America grinned before taking a sip. It burned his tongue slightly, but he didn't care. Russia took his mug in hand and moved to open the blinds, squinting as the camper was flooded with light. America walked over, gazing out the window. There were a few clouds dotting the sky, and the sun blazed bright, just peeking above the nearby trees. The parking lot they were parked in was close to empty, and the nearby roads were lacking in activity. "I'm gonna start the camper." Russia elbowed America gently. "And remember, I'm the one driving today. You deserve a break." America didn't try and argue. He simply hopped in the passenger seat, careful not to spill his coffee. Russia did the same, sticking the keys in the ignition and turned them, causing the camper to come to life again. America took another sip of his coffee as his companion drove the vehicle out of the parking lot, once again making sure he didn't spill anything. Once they were on the highway, America turned on the radio, changing stations from commentary to music until he found a weather station. He wanted to see where that big storm was headed. "And now, if we move over here," the radio buzzed, "you can see that the storm is still making its way across the west. There shouldn't be too much of a threat with this system, but please remember to be cautious when driving on wet roads, as they tend to get slippery." "You sure we won't get caught in that thing, May?" Russia broke in, taking a gulp of coffee. "I'm used to driving in the snow, not the rain." "Even if we do, we can always get off the road and wait for it to pass, you know?" the smaller country replied. "I wouldn't worry about it, Russ. Besides," he added proudly, "I've driven through much worse." Russia nodded in response. "Well, I trust you, May." He briefly took a hand off the steering wheel and rested it on the other shoulder. Before America could respond, the 2 countries felt the camper lurch. Some coffee spilled, and America cursed. Seconds later, there was a loud pop. Instinctively, Russia put on the hazard lights and got off the highway as quickly as he could. "Oh, that can't be good," America thought as the camper came to a stop. Faster than lightning, the pair of countries unbuckled and hopped out of the vehicle to check each of the tires. When America got to the back left tire, he could already tell it was flat. The country cursed under his breath again and immediately sped over to the trunk, yanking it open to check for a spare. "Did you find the issue?" America heard Russia ask. He grunted in response as he tried to drag out the metal and rubber object along with the toolbox. "Thankfully, my states thought of this long before we left." He set the tire on the ground and began to change it out. "Wow, how did you learn to change it out so fast?" Russia asked as he squatted down beside his friend. The busted tire came loose. "Practice," America answered simply. He was installing the new one in now. "Do me a favor, throw the flat tire in the trunk. I'll be done in just a sec." America fiddled with the wrench. "No problem, May." The larger country responded, grabbing the flat tire and gently placing it in the trunk in the place where the spare was. I'm done. Let's get going. America stood up and brushed himself off, tossing the toolbox in the trunk and shutting it. As quickly as they had hopped out, they were back in the camper. America had snatched some paper towels to soak up the spilled coffee. I have to say, I'm impressed. Russia smirked, turning the ignition on and carefully merging back onto the highway. I should have known better than to worry about something like that. America smiled at his friend's words. It's nothing really. Trust me when I say it gets old fast. The two countries fell silent for a moment, but then America spoke. Hey, thanks for last night, he began. I appreciated the comfort you gave me. He gazed out the window. It's been hard to talk about things, so... It was no problem, his friend replied warmly. I suppose I can relate to your fears. He cleared his throat before continuing. I get worried a lot when things take a turn for the worse, but... He glanced at the other. I suppose things feel a bit better when I talk about it with someone. He put on the turn signal, merging into another lane. Sorry, you just said it was hard to talk about the... No, America broke in gently. It's not going to get any better for me if I don't open up about it. He smiled. Besides, I don't mind opening up to you. I know you pretty well now, and I think of you as a source of comfort, a shoulder to lean on, if you will. The other country found himself stumbling over his words. No one has ever considered me something like that. I mean, how could I not? I never thought that we could ever be friends, but here we are, talking like we've known each other forever. I never thought we could be friends either, Russia sighed. I was afraid you were going to be mad at me or send me away. I could never do that. What's happening now is out of our control, for everyone. You can either choose to go along with it, ignore it, or forgive and move on. You chose to forgive, and because of that, there was no way I couldn't forgive you as well. America grinned. Everyone else seemed happy about it too. Ukraine, Belarus, Kazakhstan, the rest of NATO. If only it were that simple in real life. Russia seemed to go into deep thought. I wish I could stick it to the people in charge of us and tell them about how batshit crazy they are. Every last one of them. America laughed, covering his mouth. You got that right. The pair of countries laughed together as they rode down the highway. They continued to talk and laugh as the hours went by, slowly making their way out west. They stopped to eat around 2 p.m. before continuing on their way. Soon, the sun began to set. Hey, America, what state are we in? Russia asked his companion. Huh? Oh, we're in Oklahoma, I do believe. We're close to the Mexican border. America responded, a bit drowsy. Russia laughed softly. I think we should look for a place to rest. Nah? That would be nice, America yawned. If only I had gotten to drink the rest of that coffee. It also probably didn't help that you woke up in the middle of the night, Russia added. The other country shrugged. I suppose you're right. Russia left the highway off the next exit and began to look around for a place to rest for the night. It was a small town with some small buildings and houses dotted around the streets. The country was able to find a nice open area to park. By the time he had done that, America was nearly asleep. Laughing quietly to himself, Russia grabbed the windshield screen and set it up before turning the vehicle off. He put it in park and hopped out of his seat, heading to the back of the camper to unlatch the bed from the wall. And then he tried waking his friend. May. He nudged him on the shoulder gently. Come on, you can't sleep in here. The smaller country didn't respond. He had sunk into unconsciousness. Seeing no other option, Russia gently wrapped his arms around his friend and picked him up bridal style. He was a little heavier than he thought, but he was able to carry America over to the bed. He gazed down at his friend. He looks so peaceful and kinda cute. Wait, what? Sighing, Russia gently set America down on the bed and covered him up with the blanket. After making sure all the blinds were shut and the doors were locked, the country climbed into bed himself. It took him a minute or so to fall asleep, as he couldn't seem to turn his brain off. And that's the end of this chapter. I hope you enjoyed. Anyway, I'd like to invite you to join the Discord, which is linked down in the description below. That being said, I hope you have a nice rest of your day, night, or whatever it is for you. Just enjoy your time. And I will see you tomorrow.